And good afternoon, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. And guys, welcome to another episode of the 1011. And we got another special one this evening because we have one of our favorite guests back, Mr. Mark Andrews. And he is following up with a concept that was originated by Milt from Flowers Comics. And that is an album version, a vinyl version of the 1011. And Mark's like, hey, I might have a thing or two. I'm like, well, let's get you on. But joining me tonight as co-host, we have my Thursday regular. We have Mr. Digger Jim. Jim, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good. Ready for the weekend to start.
Right? Well, mine starts now, so I'm good. And then we have our semi-Thursday regular, Mr. Chuck Hensey, at least until school starts, and then it'll be sparingly.
Be in jail.
Yeah, that's right. I will be in quarantine. So,
and then, of course, our guest of the hour, as mentioned, Mr. Mark Andrews. Mark, how you doing tonight, sir?
Very well, very well. Good evening.
All right, so we're gonna give the quick minute on you, like we always do. We'll say hi to the audience and come back to you. But explain to people like who you are, how you collect, and just you have a vast collection. So,
well, Mark Andrews. I live in beautiful North Bay, Ontario, Canada, way up in the far north. And no, there's not snow yet. It was really nice and beautiful, warm today. I've been collecting forever. I've been collecting forever, and I will keep you awake, Joe, I promise. Popular culture stuff, toys, records, comic books, particularly, all sorts of stuff from childhood, and just whatever kind of gets me interested, and I can do history on it and see some nuances and stuff. I just collect it and trade and talk about it and just have a good time, and being part of this community is just a riot.
Right. Yeah, it is. I mean, just to be able to have a community that we didn't have when we were young, where you could actually share the things you like with other people and they like them too. Just amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, no, honey, really, listen. No, this is cool because
where
are you going? Why are you walking away?
Come on, listen to me.
Right. All right. So we have Las Cruces. Good afternoon, James. Nice to see you. We have Joe already taking shots at Mark.
Yep.
You know, you think he'd be friendly, but he's got to come in all saucy. He must be hitting the bottle already. You little.
Well, he probably has.
You know what? He hung out with Cliff too long. That's what it was.
Right. Yeah. He got all that extra saucy Cliff.
Yeah.
We have, of course, the Jackson Roy Kirk. And we got Rich, Comic Cap Collectibles. Good evening, sir. And as people are getting their notifications, I'm going to keep giving a tip of the hat. It's still like very early. Within the next, I'd say 5 to 10 minutes, we'll have a bunch of people start getting their notifications and rolling in. Hopefully. But we're going to bring it right back over to you, Mark, and we're going to let you start.
All righty. So I went through one of my collections. First of all, just in case people haven't noticed in the background, so there's a few records and books up there that we could talk about all night about those. But I went into my collection and tried to pull out some that were kind of a little bit different. And so in relation to stuff that is comic related, I went searching for stuff, and I should have had this one out of the plastic because it's making a lot of noise on camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a comic, and then I'm going to show the LP or records that relate back to it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So my first comic is this one. So this I bought off the spinner rack. That's why it's a 9.2, because I read it and this was something I didn't invest in. This is just I went, oh, G.I. Joe's back. So right. G.I. Joe is a pretty iconic character and thing for me. And if we were doing like an action figure show, Gary, then I would bring out all my 12-inch GI Joes from the 60s and 70s that I still have, and I've got more of. But in relations to the comics to the records for GI Joe came out with 4.
Yeah, see, I never seen any of those before.
Okay, so
Crazy.
each one of these, and the illustration is done by the same people who illustrated the books or the toys fronts. So each has its own record. It's got the cartoon, the comic book that tells the story. So the theory is you would go, if you got a hold of this and you didn't have all the kits, you'd go and then try to find all the kits to match the story. So there's Secret to Spy Island. There's Secret of the Mummy's Tomb.
What great titles.
So I'm going to interject real quick. What year?
Okay,
what year
so
did that come out?
These are 1970. I'm going to get it right. 1973.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last one is the rescue from headquarters, which is just okay. And if you don't know this series of GI Joe action figure, all of these are huge sets.
Yeah.
That would cost you a wee bit more money, right, to buy. So if you didn't have the set, you bought this, and then you tried to convince them. And it's kind of interesting on the back here. It says, "Hi parents, this action-packed Peter Pan book and record set includes a 24-page full-color illustration. It's been specially designed that your child can read the story and follow the record word for word."
Right. Hi, parents, not kid.
No,
hi parents who's spending all the money.
That's right. It's the parent who buys this.
Yeah.
The figures that were attached to this, these were the much bigger figures.
Yes.
With the camos.
Yeah, they were probably like that big, right? I mean,
yeah,
they were like a foot.
And the ones that if you're familiar with Bronze Age comics, they would occasionally have them in the advertisements in the back. I think it was one with like a shuttle or something or another that.
Oh yeah, like these are all the 12-inch figures. And we had all kinds. There was, but that's Hi Parents, come and spend more money from Hasbro.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
they know who pays.
Right.
That's
absolutely.
hilarious.
You gotta know where your money's coming from, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So that was number 1. So moving right along, we're going to do number 2. This one's a little bit newer, and I'm going to jump around in ages a bit. So now these are not number 1 issues, but I just think they're pretty cool little issues, and they give you an idea. There was this little series. Okay.
I've never seen that guy before. What's his name again?
Yeah, like Steve Austin, the
he's the fall
man.
guy.
It's the fall guy.
From the $6 man. So
now the $6 million man. And if you could see up higher, there's some of his magazines up behind me. Great TV series. Carlton did an excellent job of it. And Peter Pan, who
such a fun show. It really was.
It was a really fun show. They came out with this.
Oh wow! I never saw that.
I actually had that as a kid. Yes. Yeah.
I didn't have that one.
That is amazing album art.
And again, so right.
An Oscar, baby. Looks
Now,
just like him too.
None of the actors or any of the sound effects from the show is on this record.
Oh, boo!
Really, not even the.
No,
Wow.
they're not there.
I mean, for sure,
like,
it's not as much by its sound effects as anything else, too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
There wasn't any.
No, they did other things. They're okay, but they did other things. Now the illustration in the comic, they look like the characters from the TV show.
Yeah.
That looked just like Oscar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this
like,
is 1977, Universal City.
Okay, I'm a little
but
bit older. I
also
could have
it's
bought
Peter
that. Dang.
And notice the Skylab.
Did you buy that in 77?
No, I did not buy this one in 77.
It's more impressive. You said, hell yeah, I paid like a nickel for that. It's worth $50,000 now, people.
$50,000 now. We didn't pay for that.
You gotta
So
top it up. Oh my Lord, though.
moving. Well, see, Joe thinks I have this big group of people buying for me. It's not true.
It's the fine.
You know, so but you know what? You buy your stuff. Joe just took advantage of his friend and got his books for 2 cents a book. You know,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, he took advantage of his friend.
Totally strong armed
You
him.
know, like just
The
is
New
wrong.
York way.
yeah, I'll give you 2 cents for that, and it's a bargain for you.
So,
Right.
what number are we at? We're at 3, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're 3. Yeah.
Okay,
That's so
keep a
much
track,
fun. Who
Gary,
cares?
because you know I could go right off the wall.
I got him down.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
because I
man.
could, I could use the Travato clause and so 1974, 73 in there was a little series of movies that were based upon a book. And then there became several books, and then they became several comics. Marvel picked it up and it became a magazine and a comic.
I think I know what
And
this is.
it was this.
Mhm. There we go.
And
So
that
this
book
is the
is
mag-
really good if no one's ever read the original book by Philippe
Oh.
Boulay.
Yeah, the original book is awesome. It's a really good read. So this is the first of the magazine run. There's 28 issues, I think. 27,
Wow.
somewhere in there. I know Chuck's going to check on that, and he's going to fact check me.
I can check my collection. I think it's 29. But yeah,
Is it
I'm not-
29? You
Yeah.
actually, you're right. So Power Records, which is Peter Pan Records, but they called them Power Records after a certain period of time. And in 1974 as well, they came out with this.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So this has 4 new stories. These are not from any of the comics.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Dawn
These
of the
were
Tree
just-
people.
Extra news stories.
Wow, look at that. Is there is
and
it
the-
what's on the back? Is there anything? I mean, is it wraparound type? Yep. Damn, look at that.
I love the art on those. It's
Yeah,
just
I know.
like I could just look at those covers forever.
And so I have my albums and I rotate them not just up back here, but also in the stairway coming down into the vault. The wall is lined with these LPs.
And his
you, need to do a,
St.
you
Charles.
need to do a man cave video. Come on,
Yeah,
Mark.
maybe.
I'm
So-
gonna send a Canadian over to your house, man.
Never
Maybe
mind.
Chris or somebody.
No one knows for sure where I live. So what's kind of cool about that Planet of the Apes, I found that at it was a toy and collectible show. So if you're into these things and you're looking for them, like
Yeah.
you'll see these vendors that have all kinds of little things, and every once in a while you'll just see this little box of records.
Yeah.
And just take the time to flip through them because you'll find these little nuggets. That's
That's a
where
good
you'll find them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll find them.
Jerry.
Hey, Jerry, that's where you'll find them. And sometimes they're by dealers who don't even they're not into LPs or anything. They're kind of into other stuff. And some of them, they usually won't break your bank. There are some records that are stupidly priced.
Yeah.
Some aren't.
And
Now, you
sometimes they
also-
get it with other stuff and they don't even care about it.
No,
They just
some
go-
of them don't even
look
care
at-
about it.
Right.
Well,
they came with
they just want to
something
move
else.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, they just want to move it.
Now,
Well,
Mark,
and that's where some of these came from. Some of these I bought, like I guess you would say traditional way now on eBay, but most of these I've bought like at antique malls or at antique shows
Flea
or
markets or something.
collector shows or like that kind of stuff.
Sure.
There's a Batman up here. It's up there behind. Oh, it's back over there off camera. That I was in an antique shop and it just came in and I offered the guy $5 for it and he said sure because he flipped it.
Right. and he got it with a big collection he bought, so he was just making
Yep.
$5 free and clear.
Right.
Absolutely, and it had nothing to do with the collection he bought. It was just in the box.
Right.
Nice.
So
Now I got to ask you though, because you said that one had 4 original stories. How many of those contained original stories? Was it a good percentage, or most of them I thought were reprints?
most of them are reprints. Some have original stories. When it says on them that it's an original story. Now, what's interesting, that right there, that Spider-Man,
Yeah.
That's an original
What?
story.
that's
Yeah.
an original story.
Okay.
That's the only that's one of the few of this series that's an original Spider-Man story.
Oh.
Yeah, never seen that one before.
They had the Conquistador one also.
Yep.
That-
Well,
yeah,
and
that's-
I know that sometimes the story got like in the case of the Crawler and the Mist, Siconian one, that was an original story when it came out, but then it was added to when they put it in 116. They had J.M. DeMatteis write
Yep.
3 extra pages that got added to the story.
Yeah.
And then they changed a few of the words and everything within the story to change it up and make it more sorcery instead of scientific.
Yeah. Yeah. And so some of them are very, very familiar. Some are not. Some are pretty cool. And
I just didn't know if you had any kind of knowledge about like how many had original
there's not that many, sadly.
Yeah.
But there are some. And it depends on what you want to collect. If you want to just collect original, then you're going to save a lot of money in your pocketbook because there's not a lot. Like there's 37 or 38 of these. That series from.
You know, it's amazing that I've only added everything on your back wall that you can see in camera. I've only ever seen the Captain America and the Star Trek one right beside it.
Wow.
Never have I seen. I mean, this is hand to God. I mean, out in the wild anywhere. But I vividly remember that Star Trek because that freaking mouse-looking thing freaked me out when I saw it. I was like, "What in the heck's wrong with that thing?"
So I think we're at number 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one, this book, we were talking before we went on air about 4-color and Dell and series and stuff. And Dell did some series after things were, I bought most of my stuff up here in Canada. To answer your question, Seth, like most of it, because to get the shipping from the States is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like double what it would cost you just to buy the item is the shipping. So most of the time I find it in the wild. And also, as you know, just to confirm what Joe says, and I've mentioned it before, like I have a nephew that I do a lot of shopping with, and he and I go and we hit these places hard. And if he's at a place and I'm not with him, he'll text me and say, "Hey, are you interested in this?" So, you know, kind of like a personal shopper, which is really cool, but it really, really irritates his aunt. Anyway.
Mark's like, if you don't pick it up for me, you're disowned. So you better grab it.
Exactly. So this comic book had a number of them in the series.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Tales of the Green Beret. I think, Chuck, you probably are going to be better at me. How many issues of this one? There's
that one I don't know. But
there's not many. Like there's less.
3 or 4?
Yeah,
maybe?
there's less than a half a dozen.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of it.
So this is there's 5 issues because actually I wrote it on the back.
Okay.
From 67 to 69. So in period of when things were happening for the United States in the Vietnam War, right?
Right.
So the Tales of the Green Beret. So you may have heard of this song.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay.
So that's Staff Sergeant Barry Sadler, Ballad of the Green Beret. So anybody who is into that kind of stuff, he actually did have a record. It was his only record, and it was a very patriotic record, and it was promoted really heavy. Actually, the Ballad of the Green Berets made it to the #1 spot on the American Billboard for a while during that time. So in 1966, it was Dynagroove is the manufacturer of this. And any of you that know this song right now are cursing me because now it's right there.
It's a very odd song, and especially when you look at the list of the top songs for that year, you've got a lot of you got your Beatles and you got your Rolling Stones and you've got your Monkees, and then all of a sudden you got the Ballad of the Green Beret, which is just a complete 180 from all of this other stuff. In terms of the style,
and it exploded.
Yeah,
it was quite a unique thing. So when I found that, I thought this is pretty unique and different. And and let me tell you, it was not expensive.
Yeah,
nice.
No.
Even better, right?
Want Todd Helton to go with that instead of the Dell. So
yeah.
And sometimes like collecting that niche stuff is great because you can find it at good prices.
Well, yeah,
like Conan, right?
Well, not anymore. Now Conans are all going up. But like my original run, I paid mostly 50 cents a book for that, and now they're like $8 to $15 a book for just
they used to be in the dollar bins all the time.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, Joe, he is my nephew. Yes,
he says right.
I think we need to have Bruno put Joe in check over there.
Yeah.
I think you guys have heard of this character before.
Maybe.
Few times. Okay, this is a lovely girl. And you've heard of this character a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Is it weird that I like Tonto better?
Well, you'll like him. I'll hold that thought and let me know if you still believe that when I show you this record. So I always kind of found it interesting. Like Tonto's in a lot of Lone Ranger books, but he also has his own book, right?
Right.
And if you want to know why he has his own book, it could be because of this Decca record. Okay, so this is from same period time. I'm going to say it wrong.
67.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, read the record.
What do you mean?
We pale face.
Daggone right.
It's a pity Milt's not here. You know, my Mad Magazine used to have a joke about a parody of the Lone Ranger and Tonto, and the Lone Ranger finally finding out what Kimosabe really meant. You call me what?
You call me what? So this is the original radio stories of the Lone Ranger, Tonto Silver, all sorts of villains and stuff, and it starts out with Hi-Yo Silver and all that great stuff. What just kills me is that actually made the front of this album is that cartoon, and it's just made me laugh. So
I still like Tonto the best, man.
Yeah.
He always, you know what he reminded me of? It was like when Kato. He was like Kato, man. He always wanted. He was ended up saving.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He always was saving him.
Now, Digger Jamie, I don't know if you've ever read it, but Topps did a miniseries in the early '90s on Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Yeah.
Which Tim Truman and Joe Landside, I think, did. It's really, really good. Ultra cheap. But they do a really good job with their characterization of Tonto in there.
All right, I'll check that out.
Super, super good. And like I said,
the Topps comics are underrated. Like their Zorro is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their Zorro series I have their Zorro one. It's fantastic.
You only got one reason for liking that.
This is the prerequisite if you're going to appear on Gary's show. Oh yeah, see, Joe has the song. Because this is a prerequisite to being on Gary's show, you have to show this comic at least once.
There you go.
Okay, because it's like a rule. So like 1970, Gary could go on and on, but I won't let him. So in 1976, they came out with this.
Oh, so cool.
Do you have that, Gary?
I do. And you want to know why I have it?
Why?
Because a community member by the name of Jackson Roykirk sent me a CD that he handmade himself and printed the cover for.
Nice.
And that's the first way I found out about those. And as soon as I got the CD and I had to have it. So I went to eBay and I bought my copy off eBay.
And
that's nice. Look at that.
And again, great art.
This record has been clipped. Okay. So this means that this was stock that was never sold. So then
that's what that means. I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah. So then it went to the secondary market, and if you notice, there's still a bit of a glare, is because this is still sealed. This has never been opened.
Yeah.
So it's clipped right there, but I've never taken this out.
I always wondered what the clip meant.
Still has the Peter Pan sticker on it, and the fun thing about this is Neil Adams.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Wow.
Yeah, Neil Adams, and then John Buscema art on the back.
Yep.
With Crawler in the Mist and stuff.
So
Neil Adams did quite a bit of Conan that people don't know about because he did the Squad and Savage Sword.
Pay attention to that because Neil Adams may appear again tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know
absolutely, that. Tina. I think
Mark
taught us all something. Except for probably Chuck. Chuck probably knew that.
Probably Chuck knew that.
Yeah, I definitely didn't.
He's one of those uppity teacher folk, though.
So in 1966, Dell came out with a series of comics. There's only 9 issues in the series, based upon a television series that went from 65 to 71. I have them, but I kind of like, I just I don't want to just keep throwing up number ones because it's kind of like you've all seen them before, but you guys may have seen these comics before.
Oh, yeah.
Hogan's
Man,
Hero.
look at how good a shape that's
Right.
in.
Oh my God! Look how clean it looks. Yeah,
The white is really bursting out.
Yeah, the white ones are tricky to find. So in 1966, so the TV show started in 65. In 1966.
Yeah, right, Seth? I know nothing. I see nothing.
Hogan's Heroes sing the best of World War II.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
With Richard Dawson.
Yep. Yeah. So Richard Dawson, Robert Clary, Ivan Dixon, and Larry Hovis. They're the voices, and they sing a various number of songs.
Wow.
So this one made me pretty happy to find it. Now, one thing I want to mention to you, if you actually are going to start looking at records or looking at records like this one has been clipped. And I don't mean clipped like the Conan ones. If you notice along here, you
trimmed.
can see the insert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you look at the back, it's been because sometimes the records get water damage, or they get, like, the jackets will have damage on it. So some dealers will
trim it. Yeah.
Because it has more eye appeal.
Right.
So when if you're gonna buy something like this, and I did, and I got, this didn't cost a lot because part of it's missing, right? But so I always flip it over, because sometimes the cover doesn't really show that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you flip it over and you go, wait a minute. Right,
because I don't think any of us noticed that when you were just showing us the front. It was just a picture.
You wouldn't notice that on this cover.
And none of the words are cut off.
This is a cool album. Like, the songs are Hogan's Heroes March, Shoo Shoo Baby, Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition. Like, it goes on and on, those top hits that you want to listen to.
Yeah.
And Richard Dawson, he sings some all by himself. But I didn't notice any of these guys move on from making other albums.
Right.
That was very much the late 60s concept album where, you've got you have Bill Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and others cutting albums that they just assumed would like to disavow 10 minutes later.
Yeah, some of
Shatner
those
still puts out albums. He put one out like 7 years ago again.
Yeah, but Shatner has no shame. I mean, at least at least Nimoy was ashamed of Bilbo Baggins. I mean, come on.
And that was that one. The Bilbo Baggins ones is just a riot. You can find that online. So, moving right along, sticking with some of these kind of obscure, different 1960s stuff. In the 60s. So this series was on television from 67 to 70. And then in 68, roughly, Dell, God bless them, came out with The Flying Nun.
That one I've seen.
Yeah.
So, I've never seen the book, but I've seen the show.
So Sally Fields. Now, what's interesting, when Sally Fields started doing this TV show, she was 19.
Yeah, wow. She was really young. Yeah.
Really, really young. And it's interesting when you read the back of this, she thought she should be a singer.
Wow.
She cut an album in 1967 when she was 19 years old because she thought she should be a singer. And of course, when you read the back of this, it tells you how much she should be. But again, she had 4 singles that were off this album. None of them went very high in the charts.
Yeah.
And yes, she wasn't Smokey and the Bandit.
That's where she should have been. Just there and Smokey and the Bandit. She looked really good there.
Now, it's interesting talking about my nephew. My nephew actually got this first, and then I went, "Oh, you got this, oh man!" And then he very graciously let me have it.
Gifted it to you.
Yeah. So that,
So after Mark put him in the isolation,
really didn't like
Yeah. So this one, the record label is called Colgems, Colgems.
Huh. A lot of weird record labels back then, like
Yeah.
little tiny ones, huh?
And I've never heard of them before.
Probably never heard of them again.
Perhaps if they had all of their
Yeah.
money resting on Sally Field's great breakout song, singing, maybe that's why we've never heard of them before.
It is, but when I think of Sally Field too, I mean, she did so much, but you always think of her and Burt Reynolds together because that was when they were like such an iconic pairing.
Yep.
She looked banging in that movie.
No, they just had fun on-screen chemistry.
They did.
That
They
too,
had a lot
but
of fun on
she
screen
looked banging.
chemistry.
They had a lot of fun off screen too for a while.
Yes.
I believe they did. I believe they did. So moving on to, I mean, there's a lot of TV stuff, but there's some more comic stuff coming. There was this little show that was aired 1959 and finished somewhere in like 1970, 71. Huge number of episodes, and they turned them into comic books.
Right. Yep.
So, believe it or not, Bonanza had more than, I'm about to invoke the Travato clause.
Oh, nice. I love it.
So Bonanza also had
A
Christmas on the Ponderosa.
Oh my God. Tell me Hoss sang, man.
He does. Like,
Does he really?
yeah.
He probably
Dan Blocker
sang
sings.
pretty well too. He was-
Lauren
he was-
Green, Michael Landon sings, Dan Blocker sings. Pernell Roberts does not sing.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's funny because I didn't like the show as much after Pernell Roberts left. He was my favorite.
He was an interesting character. It's too bad he left. But anyway, so you could get them singing Hark the Herald Angels Sings and the First Christmas Tree and all that good stuff.
You didn't even have to give him the eggnog too to get him to do it. That's
yeah.
amazing.
And they also, Lauren Green also came out with this one.
But he sang. Didn't Lauren
He
Green
sang,
like have his own album?
So this is his Ringo, which again went up the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, so Lauren Green was Canadian and he worked for the CBC during World War II. He was known as the voice of doom.
Oh, wow.
In the very first part of World War II, because in the very first in 1939, there was not good news coming out of Europe.
Yeah.
And so he got that was his nickname. He, with that deep voice of his, telling about what was going on and bad crap at Dunkirk, et cetera, the fall of Paris. So he became the voice of doom on the CBC.
You know what's funny about him, right? Is like Steve Martin. You only remember Lauren Green looking one way.
Yeah, that's the way he looked. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like Steve Martin has one look for his whole life.
He looked like that
Green's
in
like that.
Battlestar Galactica. Like,
Yeah.
he just
Look,
looked like
I ain't gonna lie. I had this funny theory going in my head that my mother had a crush on him.
I think
I'm
a
not
lot
kidding.
of
We watched a lot of Bonanza at my house.
I was gonna say, I'm sure a lot of our moms had crushes on
Yeah,
him.
Well, I'm
we
pretty
watched
sure
a lot of
our
Bonanza. I
moms.
mean, like,
Was that, and who was the I know who my mom had a crush on was the Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, Michael Landon.
Yes, Michael Landon.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, she thought he was the best thing ever.
Little Joe.
Little Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going back now just to.
You're still getting busted on here, Mark.
Yeah, I know. So
Man, him and Jackson must have made a pact before the show.
Yeah.
they must have been. So 1956, again, talking about Del Mandrake. The Magician.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful four color, beautiful painted cover.
Yeah, look at that.
That's
Mandrake.
what I need to get.
That purple
Yeah, and this one's not that expensive, but Chuck, it's to find it in nice condition.
Yeah.
Like all four colors. So beautiful. Mandrake the Magician had been in pulps. He's been around for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Sadly, he hasn't transitioned well to the modern genre, and also this one's transitioned a bit more. But this is Gold Key from 1962.
Very nice.
So that's the
Very
first
good.
edition of the Phantom and the Gold Keys run.
What a cover. Look at that skull.
Isn't that a great cover?
Yeah.
I love that cover.
They've got it on the back too, don't they?
Yeah, this is the one. These are the ones that have the pin up of the front, but it's a virgin on the back.
Yeah.
They have a
I mean,
pinned up
that's not
version
a
on the
new-
back. We got to see that.
Oh, okay,
I'm just kidding.
not that kind. Okay, good.
I'm just-
Not that kind. So anyway, what's kind of cool was Leo, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. Leo, it's called the Leo Record Company.
Okay.
They came out
with a combo.
Cool.
That's
So there's a Mandrake story and a Phantom story, and you can see on the back.
Man.
Right.
So that's going to be based off of their time when they were with the King imprint, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So that looks like the art from the King imprint.
And then they had the cartoon with them, Defenders of the Earth, which is getting a new comic.
Yeah, they actually Defenders of the Earth is getting a new one. So Leo, the Lion Records, which is this logo right here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. That's an MGM imprint, and they did records. If you Google Leo, the Lion Records, and see the list of records that they did, there's records in there that will make you go, "Oh, I want that." Wow. They have the Shadow, they have the Green Hornet, they have Superman, they have all kinds, and the album covers are cool like this.
That is neat.
There's 57 different imprints that Leo, the Lion Records, did.
Wow.
And some of them are hard to find, and they are cool. Some of them are very pricey.
Yeah.
Like the Green Hornet record is one of those you hope to find in the, like in the wild at an antique place where they don't know what it is. Because if you went to eBay or an online shopping platform,
forget about it, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's expensive. But anyway, so yeah, Leo, the Lion Records, very cool. Phantom, Mandrake, awesome record, telling the stories, and it's from the strips, right?
Right, and the art is so good.
Yeah, the artwork is so isn't that cool?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So, and just I mean, Chuck, hopefully you can find that, because it is a nice.
That would be awesome.
Chuck, I just looked it up on eBay. You can get a copy for $20.
There you go. Just check the condition, Chuck.
There's multiple listings for $20.
All right, I'll have to look for that then. Cool.
So,
you can get it. You can get it graded for $225.
There you go.
Sure.
I'm causing Chuck to spend money. If his wife watches this, she's going to send me hate mail.
She's used to me spending money.
This one is kind of cool. This is another old character, but this is Gold Key's first Buck Rogers.
Nice.
That's lovely book.
Very nice book.
Yes.
So Buck Rogers had different iterations and different spins, and I'm again invoking the Travato clause because this is a couple in one. Mm-hmm. Gary, just letting you know. So then you can find these.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow!
Cool. All right.
Is that Alex Raymond art?
Yeah, that's a good question. The trouble is, a lot of the records do not attribute the artist.
Yeah, they don't.
So you have to look at the art and do some comparators. Like very few of them attribute whoever did the artwork, which is really, really sad. This is the 1973 imprint. It is Mark 56 Records from Anaheim, California. What's kind of cool about this, and this is another place to go to find cool records like this, is your public library when they're having a sale of their old stock.
Yeah.
Because this one, if you can see right here, that's Central Discard.
Oh.
So you sometimes have bad things where they had labels and stuff on them, but you just, I mean, you have to think about this was a library record, so it saw some love.
Right.
It's in a remarkable shape for being a library record.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So there was that Buck Rogers, which I thought was really cool. And then we had this little movie back in,
Hell yeah.
Oh,
now we're talking.
Now we're talking, right?
Yes.
He's just focused on Aaron Gray. It's okay.
I am.
See, Aaron Gray's right there.
One of my first celebrity crushes, Aaron Gray.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was her and Linda Carter.
That's understandable. And this is
wow. I've always loved that cover art.
Yeah, that's a beautiful cover.
There you go.
So that's the original motion picture soundtrack with Bill Gerard and Aaron Gray and everybody. and Dragon Man and the whole 9 yards. You know, like I went to see this with a buddy of mine in his. I think we were on his motorcycle at the time, which is pretty scary. MCA Records. Pamela Hensley, like, you know, remember her?
Mhm.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Like the
Oh yeah.
princess or
Yeah.
whatever.
Anyway,
she-
and
Yeah.
you know, the soundtrack isn't bad actually. It's pretty good. There's not dialogue or anything, but it's definitely Buck Rogers, and
I
it's
was
a
like,
pretty
how can
good
you
record.
not remember Pamela Hensley?
Yeah, I believe that.
some disco going there.
Lots of disco.
Still though, Aaron Gray had her beat. Tightest pants in space.
So that was 10.
That was 11 actually, but I let it go.
Anyway,
It was 10. You invoked the clause. You go, Mark.
I invoked the clause.
Well, if you count Mandrake and the Phantom and Buck Rogers all as one, yeah.
That's one. Anyway, so now I'm going to talk about the story. And the story is not about me. It's actually about the record and the records.
Nice.
There's more than one for sure. But this little series, right?
Man.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's
Had
right.
some awesome comics.
I love the photo covers on those. They're
Yeah,
beautiful.
the first issues of the Gold Key photo covers are really like they're, and again, just like the other Gold Keys, the early ones, they have the pin up on the back.
Right.
Which is just, it's again without the trade dress, which is cool. So Star Trek, as you can see behind me, there's like
Your head's in the way.
that one.
Yeah,
There's
that
several
one, yeah.
of these, okay, of the Star Trek ones.
Right?
Yeah.
And also because Gary, then you like Star Trek, don't you?
I'm a casual fan.
Okay,
I'm a
well,
casual fan of Star Wars and Star Trek.
This particular one, I think you'll like because if you notice, there is a mashup.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now I have that in a big LP. I don't have it in the small one like that.
So they did the small one as well as the big one.
Okay.
Okay, this one is just the Time Stealers, though. So the big one, which I'm going to show you and we're going to talk about, is in the bigger record. So there is an individual one that just has the Time Stealers. And again,
I
this
had to
one-
have that because it was a barbarian. So
yeah, it's because it's got Conan on it. I mean, look at it. It's Conan.
Right. It's either him or King Cole. Yeah, exactly. So
What's interesting is Neil Adams.
I might have to look for that little one. just to
Really?
add to the collection.
This is Neil Adams. Okay. Now, why this is an interesting one? Because when people started to get a little bit upset, and there was some explanation as to why. This is the big one that Gary's talking about.
Okay.
Mhm.
there you
Yep, I
go.
got it right over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two stories in here. Now I'm going to be flipping this around a little bit, so please forgive me. I'm taking the record out.
Now show the cover again real quick, Mark,
I'm gonna.
because I want people to really pay attention to what's on
Okay,
the cover.
so Neil Adams did the cover work on this.
Yeah.
Now you can see the bridge crew kind of and if you notice, there's a person sitting where Sulu usually sits.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. So this is 1976 from Paramount Pictures. It's a Power record, which is a Peter Pan record.
Right.
So the first thing that is going to put you kind of interesting, if you can read that, Captain Kirk, see the navigator?
Yeah.
he's talking to Sulu.
Billy D. Williams.
He's talking to Sulu. That's who he is calling Sulu.
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
And it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. This one,
That's
which is
her?
hard to see, okay, he calls her Uhura.
Uh-huh.
What?
And the weird thing is, this came out after the show,
This came out after the show,
Yeah.
and they still had it wrong.
and they still
Like-
got it wrong.
You're going to
Now-
tell us a story, right?
Yes. When I first got this, I went, there's some things you shouldn't do.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Both of those things that I just pointed out, you should not do.
Right.
So, according to more research I did, because and it's Neil Adams drawing this. So Neil Adams was drawing it with the understanding was, my understanding from what I have been able to research and find through actually doing some work through Power Records and Peter Pan, and the explanation of this is none of the actual actors. So going back to the animated series was when, Chuck?
73, 74, I believe.
Right. So this is 76. This is after the animated series. This is after the TV series. None of the original actors or actresses were used on this record. They used other actors and actresses. And the actress that they had hired and picked to play the role of the communications officer was not Black. So they drew her
to the voice. Okay.
They drew her to the voice. And the same thing with the character and actor they chose to play Sulu. They drew the character to the voice. However, the thing they should have thought out clearer, I think, is they should have had different names.
Yeah.
And especially in Star Trek, because we had people exchanging jobs all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And also in Star Trek, though, it was about including all these people, and then you take them away.
And then you take them away. And if you look at this cover, that's Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner, and DeForest Kelley.
Yep.
When you look at the other actors drawn on this in this book, it's like it's all the other actors except for those two.
And when you go in there, it really puts you off for a minute.
Yeah, it does.
You know, you can really tell that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and maybe someone in the comments can who's much more of a Trekkie than I am can say, I don't know if Shatner and Nimoy at that point had written in about their likenesses.
I don't believe they had, because
merchandising. I know it came up with them at some point because they were getting licensed after the first or second season, and they both kind of went in and went, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
But I don't think D would have been high enough on the food chain though to have gotten him. Even if they had something set up, I don't think DeForest would have been high enough. To have gotten that. So
yeah, absolutely. And just for fun's sake, that's Neil Adams. I mean, if that's not Conan.
Right. Yeah. It's exactly Conan. I forgot what they called him, like Cornac or something.
Cornac.
Like you can literally see that Neil Adams out of looking at Spock's character. I mean, his facial features and everything.
Yeah.
Right away, I was like, okay, that's Neil Adams.
The thing about this record and this comic book in the record, it just throws you right off. Like there's so many other things they could have done, especially the iconicness. Like I had the honor of being able to talk with Michelle Nichols a few times, and I mean she was iconic role and groundbreaker, a glass ceiling breaker, and then to do this so much later on, in like in 1976,
right?
Yeah.
It's just,
and kids would have seen that and been like, "What the hell?"
Exactly.
And then you know what it makes me wonder too, Mark, is if like Neil Adams is drawing, he's like, "Oh, I don't like doing this." Like,
actually, I bet you he said, "I'm getting paid and I don't care."
I bet he said, "I'm getting paid a lot better than I'm getting paid for comics, and I don't care."
Correct.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet he's like, you know what? I got a wife and kids or whatever. Give me the money. I'll draw whoever you want.
Exactly. The other fun thing that was still in this record was the Dinky Toy advertisement for Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
I get excited about the advertisement.
Anyway, man, classic advertisement, man. Don't. Yeah, be careful of that.
That's a good question. I don't know, Justin, if the voice director knew. There were just so many things wrong with that book, and I don't like. It's one of those things where you go, "Wow, like how'd you get away with that?" But that was a different time. If you tried to do that today,
you'd be crucified.
Oh my, you would never be able to sell it. There would be, for the first time in years, a record burning.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, the target audience for that are going to be young kids who are not necessarily watching the show religiously on repeat. Yep. So as far as they're concerned, this is their first introduction to Star Trek. And unless their parents, in 1976, were obsessive Trekkies, the parents wouldn't have looked in going, "Oh, what the hell Sulu doing being black?" They've been like, "Oh, okay, good. Why, you listen to your record while I go fix dinner."
Yeah.
And Uhura, she was so striking. Like,
she was. I mean, such a gracious lady. And I'll tell you a quick story about my dad. My dad was not keen on us watching Tarzan of the Apes on TV.
Really?
He wasn't, because he read the books and he talked to us about the story. And he had a hard time that an English nobleman raised by apes was suddenly the king of a black tribe.
Makes sense.
He didn't like that. But boy, did he want us to watch Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was this
universal
kaleidoscope of people and characters and aliens, and that's what he promoted. And when I told Michelle Nicole that story, my sons were with me, and she reached out and she grabbed my hand and she turned to my sons and she said, "You had an amazing grandfather." Wow. And for my two boys to hear that story like that, my day was, my month, my year was that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the house that I grew up in. So that kind of stuff always intrigues me. And I've actually shown that to the boys and we've talked about it. What's that mean? And all that stuff. So it's an interesting story. It's not really a personal story of mine, but it is a story about some of the stuff that's out there that you find that is dated, that has years on and whatnot. Now I have one more record and a couple of books to show. And this is my spec.
Ooh,
so little character that keeps popping up. That you may see occasionally is this guy.
Right. Yes,
okay.
Dracula.
Dracula. Right. So again, Dell, that one is 1962 from Dell. Great. Their horror series, or you can't beat it. It's just awesome. And then, Marvel did all kinds, like they did Dracula Lives.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now that was, Gary will like this cover because it's one of his. Who's the artist, Gary?
Earl and Earl?
Nope.
No, is it
Boris?
Boris Vallejo?
Yep, Boris Vallejo.
It was one of three people from back then.
Yeah.
So that one is 1973, 75, 73.
You see, I got the Dracula Lives 3 because it's the first appearance of Solomon Kane in comics.
Well, I have, of course. So, and then you have also this book, The Tomb of Dracula magazine form. There's only 6 issues of this. This is number 1. So this one is kind of cool because there's several different stories in here, and there's one page in each story that has red highlights. It's a black and white book, but on one page there's red highlights, like the moon is red or the trim is red or the fangs, whatever. And also on the inside of this is some previews of the new screen smashes. Love at First Bite is one. And
nice.
The other one is, there's one other story in here that's not on the front cover that if you're really interested, you want to buy this magazine, it's How to Hunt and Kill a Vampire, which is an interesting read. But the other one is this story. So this is Frank Langella in Dracula, which came out, in 1979, same year, right? So the music was composed and performed and conducted by John Williams.
Wow, look how young he looked.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Wow.
Now, why this is a spec LP? For those of you that are in the hunt for very rare LPs, I'm going to have Gary show a close-up of this cover. There you go. For promotion only. Ownership reserved by MCA Records Incorporated. Sales are prohibited. So right up here in the corner of this. Thanks, Gary.
Yep. I'll take it down here. Let's see. Well, all right.
It's okay. I'll forgive you. So right up here in the corner of this LP is that notice.
Wow.
So the records like this, okay, were only provided to media outlets to play and promote the movies or the shows or whatever. And up until about I'm trying to think of the date, 2000, it hasn't been that long. For me to own this I would be breaking the law.
Wow.
These were the property of the studios.
Sure.
And it was finally challenged in court. because of the changing in the genre, and it was in the 2000s when the court case finally was settled, and the courts found that you could sell these and you could buy these, and you were not going to be prosecuted.
Yeah, for aftermarket, right?
For aftermarket. So they're very few and far between. In the description of this video, Gary has put a link to a website that I gave him that describes the case law, so that if you ever want to collect or you want to look for this stuff, you can feel free, that feel more assured that you're not going to have some copyright FBI and stuff pounding on the door to arrest you. But these kind of albums that were promotional ones are very, very collectible. And different companies had different stickers, like they would have a label like that, or the record itself, not for resale. But there wasn't very many of them because they just were sent out to different media, and then they were collected back. They were not supposed to ever be out in the free world. They weren't supposed to be out here. And the fellow who fought it finally was actually an eBay seller. That's how recent the case law is.
Wow.
So he won, and now it is legal for me to actually show you this.
How is the music to it? I'm just curious. I mean, I'm a big
Actually, the music is really good. Like, so the story goes that John Williams saw the movie with no music. They had cut it. Okay. And so it was, I'm trying to think of the company. Anyway, he watched the movie, and then he created all of it. It's all original music. It's pretty neat music. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I also love John Williams. I like John Williams can do no wrong.
Too.
So
I have the same feeling.
Cool album. It's not easy to find. It is one of these albums which makes it even rarer to find. So, but if you're looking to make some money, or not make some money, but if you're looking to collect something very unique, these ones with those kind of, do not sell, do not buy. This is the property of the movie house. You're okay to do that now, but also keep an eye out, because again, it's been enough years. There's people that do not know what that actually means.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to cross the border to get them, Joe.
Yeah, you're going to have to. Go ahead, Joe. You're a lawyer. Come get me. Anyway, that is my spec. And
also, I just want to say, I've always loved that movie poster for that movie. It's just well put together.
It was young he looks too in it, man. He just looks like a kid.
Well, it was.
But I mean, it's just. I only remember from when he was like older, and I was like, "Oh man."
Be nice, Jim. Be nice. We all look much different when
I know.
When I went to see this at the drive-in, I was much younger. So like that's 1979. So
I wasn't allowed to see it at all. I'm sure of it.
Right, Mark had just retired from the police force.
Yeah.
Anyway, so hopefully that was interesting. That was fun. Thank you, Gary.
That was amazing, Mark. Thank you. That was such a great collection.
You know what we should have done? Now that I think about it, we should have had the record player there, and he could play like little snippets. Yeah, that would have been cool.
This would be a 3-hour show.
I know. It would have been great, though. Except for the Bionic Man one. I just can't get over. There's no...
For those who are watching, that Star Trek one and the Conan one, you can both find under my playlist on the Power Records, where I recorded them and went through them for your pleasure.
There you go. There's a lot of these that you can go online and find some of those recordings to get a snippet of it.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's just fun to go find them. Like they're
something cool to hunt.
Yeah, they're cool to hunt. They're so cool to hunt and to find them and do the negotiations, and just like some of those things to watch for is watch for the clip that makes them old. Watch for those kind of little postings on. Watch for someone making the little trims, just like comic books where people clip books, they trim books. Doesn't matter what the collectible is, if they're going to try to make it look nicer to sell, they'll do it. So just be aware of that.
Yeah,
but it's
Jackson
a fun little side thing it's a fun little side thing for comic book collecting if you want to have a little branches off. So
it is. The records, they're just fun.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're cool to listen to every once in a while.
There you go, Mark. You could make your first video.
Let's not get crazy.
Well, you don't even have to show your face on it. You could just play the record.
Yeah. Anyway, feel free, Gary.
No, but Mark, that was an extraordinary collection. That was really a lot of fun to see.
My pleasure.
Just so cool. And I'm glad that you found out some information about that Star Trek one, because I was always curious why they did that.
I never even heard that before.
Because when I got it and I was looking at it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like it really unsettled you to see it.
It does. It really throws you off
so
completely. The first time you open that look and you're going, what? So,
yeah. All right. And then my first thought was like, how did they not get in trouble for changing their ethnicities in this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as I said, like you'd never be able to do it today.
They probably none of them had the rights
to able to do it back then.
I guarantee you none of them had the rights to it.
But still, it's just it's a bad move.
Well, it's bad. And like what Mark said is they were changing people all the time. Why didn't they just give them a new name?
Yeah.
You know, say, hey, Billy D instead of,
right. Her on vacation this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, like, it's Billy.
They could have put Ensign Rand in there.
Yeah, anybody.
And we would have recognized that character, right?
Yeah.
You could have done all sorts of things that they didn't, and it's really unfortunate. But it is part of the history of Star Trek now. It's part of the history of that genre and the records and the Peter Pan and all that kind of stuff. So
it's cool because you would never see books like this again. You'll never see records like this again. This was of an era.
This was. Yeah, like this moved on that you can get records and or you can get cassettes and books.
Yeah.
I didn't ever pay attention to see if they did CDs and stuff, and then we went into DVDs and all that other stuff. And for some people to crack a book, as we know, being comic book collectors, like it is what it is. And you have Audible books and things. So,
right.
Awesome show, Mark.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. It always is a pleasure.
So we'll do our normal go around. And Chuck, what's coming up for you, sir?
Well, tomorrow night we'll be on Joe's Anachronic Comics University of Knowledge. We're going to be quizzing Cliff. So we're going to see how well Cliff is informed about the future and future heroes. So that's
Legion of Superheroes.
He don't know nothing.
Right. And so Joe's not cringing. I'll say the Anachronic College of Comic Book Knowledge.
It's really a tongue twister. They need to shorten that. Is that like an AARP or something?
Because I can already hear Joe typing up the cease and desist of Chuck saying the name wrong.
We have the abridged version.
All right.
We're going to listen to the AACA.
Jim, what's coming up for you, buddy?
Saturday at 1:00, my video will be dropping I participated or I was sent an AOK, and it's called a Tag Your It AOK. So in hopes that I will send an AOK out to someone else, and I am going to send an AOK out to someone else. But yeah, I got some pretty amazing books in this AOK.
Nice.
And a nice slab that I was shocked to get.
Wow.
Cool.
Well, I am very glad, Joe, I kept you awake.
Right. All right, Mark, do you have anything coming up? Are you on Joe's channel anytime soon?
No, I got nothing coming in the hopper now, Gary, that I'm aware of. So just like Chuck, I'm looking at the calendar, watching days go by for the college university dates to start kicking in. And
now I'm thinking of trying to do a theme in November for Tuesdays and Thursdays. So for all of you watching, and that includes you guys on the panel, I'm thinking of, and this may happen, it may not, depends on the interest. In November, I want to do Tuesdays, like 4 different Transformers shows. And then Thursdays, I wanted to do 4 G.I. Joe shows.
Nice.
Just because they're together in that new universe in comics. I thought it'd be a fun little theme to do for a month.
You mean like a 10-1-1?
10-1-1. Every Tuesday that month, it'll be a Transformers 10-1-1 with people coming on. Rather, it's a mishmash, right? Comics, toys, what have you.
Right, yeah.
And then Thursdays would be G.I. Joe's, comics, figures, toys, what have you. So that's what I'm toying around with. I don't know if there's going to be an interest in that. I'm going to put it out there and see if people are interested in coming on for those.
Nice.
Cool. But so for me, coming up next week, tomorrow I'm on the Anachronic College Knowledge Show. I had it the first time, and then I just stumbled.
Joe's School.
Time. But next week we have. I'm in August. Come on, Gary. I'm in the wrong August. So the 13th, yes, we have Jason Douglas on next week, and promoting his book, Jane America, the trade paperback, which is coming out on Kickstarter. So you'll see me and Katie will be on for that show as well, co-hosting K-Pop Junkie. And then we have Dom, who works at Rhinos, a young action figure collector, who's going to be doing the second action figure 1011 next week. Cool. So we got some fun stuff coming up. And then we got on the 20th, Stu from Dr. Doom's fan club. And then we have John's Comics with Kids coming on with DVDs and Blu-rays on the 22nd. Cool. So we got some stuff happening. See, there we go. So I'm gonna reach out to a few people in the community if nobody reaches out to me to see if they're interested in doing it. I'm sure I could get Pocan Joe and Steve White and
Flash by Night doing the Transformers.
I could definitely get TJ to do Transformers.
Yeah.
But I could probably coerce Mark Andrews to come back on and show some of those big action figures in November.
Ooh, that would be dope.
Maybe. I have a few. Couple.
Right? But you can mix and match all you want with those. You can go the full Joe on every one.
Well, yeah, you see just the Transformers things is a little past when I was doing any of that stuff.
No, I'm talking about G.I. Joe for you.
I know. Well, the G.I. Joe, I may have a few of those 12-inch ones.
Right. you would bring like the old Joes.
Yeah.
But But that's it for tonight, guys. I want to thank the audience. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and of course, Jackson Rickhurk, who should have got hired by MST 3000 a long time ago. But thank you to everyone that was watching tonight. Joe was channeling his best Jackson Rickhurk tonight.
Yeah, he was.
And
next, no, it's not. It's not until November. Right?
Yeah, that's November, Joe.
Yeah,
not old Joe's, experienced Joe's. But that's it for tonight, guys. I want to thank everybody so much for being here. And again, just another great hangout. I love doing the show. It's so much fun. You get to hang out with your friends and talk about nerdy shit you enjoy. What's better?
Absolutely.
And you get to learn things. You get to see stuff you haven't seen before. And now I'm stalling because I can't find my video to get us out. Here we go. All right, guys. Until next time, keep it casual.
Yeah.